Let's stand for a moment of quiet reflection. As we are about to take counsel together on matters concerning this county, we should seek to faithfully discharge our duties of office, both in our debate and in our decisions, and promote the health, safety, and well-being of those we serve. Thank you. Given the high temperatures this evening, those who wish to may remove their jackets. Fellow councillors, officers and members of the public, including those listening in via the Zoom webcast, welcome to our council meeting this evening. Before we get to the agenda, I'd like to remind members to stand if you are able and ensure your microphone is switched on when speaking. When voting, please ensure your hand is fully raised and wait until voting is confirmed before lowering it. Please also note that we have a special meeting of council this evening. This will begin after I've closed the ordinary meeting, and we will have a short break for comfort, etc. So then we will then go straight into the second meeting. Okay, first item on the agenda is apologies. Do we have any apologies this evening, Mr. Delaney?
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from councillors Ross and Lambert, therefore councillors voting to 25.
Thank you. Item 2, Chairman's announcements. Since the last meeting of council, either myself or the Vice Chairman have attended the following civic engagements: High Sheriff of Rutland's Osprey Cruise, University of Leicester Summer Graduation Dinner and Graduation Ceremony, Northamptonshire and Royal Regiment Association Talaveras Day Service, Army Benevolent Fund Summer Luncheon, Rainbows Hospice Tour, Leicestershire Police Intercultural Social Event, Flag Flying for the Merchant Navy Day, and the Lord Mayor of Leicester's Civic Service. I'd also like to remind members of my upcoming civic event on my farm on the 22nd of September. And if any members haven't yet replied, please do so to Democratic Services. Thank you very much. Item 3, announcements from the leader, members of the Cabinet or Head of Paid Service. I'll invite the leader to address the council. Councillor Waller.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I have just 2 announcements this evening. The first is I would like to formally welcome Councillor Tim Smith into Cabinet. As we're all aware, unfortunately, Ray has stepped down for personal reasons, but Tim has stepped up. And secondly, for information for you all, Cabinet discussed the consultation and proposals to close railway station ticket offices, and we feel that there are potentially very real problems, particularly for those with physical and learning difficulties and disabilities, and those who do not have access to the internet in terms of purchasing railway tickets. And so on behalf of the council, I wrote to the Secretary of State concerning this and submitted a response to the formal consultation, for which I have had an acknowledgement. Thank you.
Councillor Waller, do any members of Cabinet wish to speak?
Councillor Smith.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you. I've been asked to speak on the area send inspection of Rutland Local Area Partnership. Now, this has been previously circulated, and I hope you have all read it for 2 reasons. As a council, we are a corporate parent. I didn't realise that until recently, well, till I took on the portfolioship. Anyway, we are a corporate parent. At the moment, we have 29 children in our care. The other reason, I hope you read it, it is very positive. We only 1 of 4 councils to have the highest grade. At the beginning of the report is a boxed bit of text, and that is the grading. It says, the local area partnerships arrangements typically lead to positive experiences and outcomes for children and young people with special education needs and or disabilities. SEND. The local area partnership is taking action where improvements are needed. If you read through the document, you can read it all because it's all very positive, pretty well all very positive. I just picked out some of the sentences that lead to such a good report. It says, children's and young people's voices are heard and acted on. Most children and young people in Rutland benefit from an early effective identification of additional needs. Those families who require support through early help are typically identified in a timely way. Social workers provide welcome support and information from parents about how to manage and provide for emerging needs of their children. The anxiety-related non-attendance project has led to the accurate identification and coherent support of children's and young people's mental needs, and so on. It's all very positive. It goes on to talk about why the area partnership is being so effective. It says, again, I just picked out a few quotes. Leaders are ambitious for children and young people with SEND. Education and social care leaders know that families they support well understand the issues they face. Again, and so on. But yes, there are one or two not so good points. It says that neurodevelopment and mental health assessments not taking place in a timely manner. So some children, young people, are not getting the right support at the right time. It mentions service children with SEND living on military bases, and there's a gap in support for these families. It mentions also that health data, health information data could be better used. But however, it does make the point that these areas are being addressed. Anyway, the result of this is that Rutland is the lead, along with Leicestershire and Leicester City, for the region, a 2-year programme for the SEND and Alternative Education Programme. Now, this is a £5.8 million programme to deliver, and Rutland will hold the monies, which is very good news. And Dawn Godfrey, Strategic Director for Children and Families, will lead this. The report is a great credit to Dawn Godfrey and all the officers involved, as well as the wider team of the social workers, health visitors, teachers, and no doubt many others. Now, the only person who can't claim any credit for this report is me, as I've only just taken it on. And credit must go to the previous portfolio holders, Councillor David Wilby and Ray Payne. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Item 4, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest tonight? Nope. Okay, item 5, minutes of the previous meeting, pages 5 to 10 in your pack. So this is to confirm the minutes of the meeting of Rutland County Council held on the 10th of July 2023. I'll move that the minutes be approved as an accurate record. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Vice Chairman. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
That is 21, Chairman, with 3 who were not in attendance at the last meeting.
I noticed Councillor Edwards wasn't in attendance, and so she really should be abstaining, shouldn't she? Councillor Edwards, are you abstaining? Have we finished counting? Yes. Right. All those against and abstentions.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, petitions, deputations and questions from members of the public.
None received, Chairman.
Item 7, questions from members of the council.
None received, Chairman.
Item 8, referral of committee decisions to the council.
None received, Chairman.
Item 9, call-in of decisions from cabinet meetings during the period from 10th of July to 4th of September.
None received, Chairman.
Item 10, report from cabinet, pages 11 to 64 in your pack. So we've got report number 122/2023 from cabinet this evening, with recommendations referred to council. There are two sets of recommendations, and I will take these separately. Members will also be aware that a number of appendices to report number 115/2023 contain exempt information, and this will be addressed when we come to those recommendations. Councillor Johnson, please can you introduce the recommendations relating to the reserves strategy and policy?
Thank you, Chairman. Council is asked to approve the reserves strategy and policy, which sets the future direction of travel and planned use of reserves. The primary purpose for holding reserves is to manage financial risk and promote financial sustainability, whilst recognising that there is a need to control the amount of scarce resources held in reserves to ensure the council is utilising taxpayers' money to deliver services to residents and communities. The reserve strategy and policy enables the council to confirm its financial strategy with the objective of ensuring the council is using all its resources effectively, providing increased transparency and accountability around reserves and ensuring the framework is in place to align decision-making around the use of reserves within the council's corporate strategy. Setting a clear medium-term financial strategy clarifies expected income and expenditure. Reserves are a useful option for balancing the budget in the short term, as long as they form part of a wider plan to deliver ongoing revenue savings through transformation of service delivery. Earmarked reserves should not be used to pay for day-to-day expenditure, and their replenishment is equally as important as their use in order for the council to continue to have financial resilience. This strategy and the use of reserves forms a cornerstone for a financially sustainable future. The strategy moves the council from managing its reserves using a binary approach of the general fund and earmarked reserves to key funds based on the financial approach required to achieve the medium-term financial strategy. The strategy is based on the establishment of 6 key funds, which will provide a balance between funds required for investment to bring financial sustainability to the council, alongside funds for risk mitigation activity. This is a choice made by the council in order to manage the business of the council more effectively and transparently. This strategy facilitates a longer-term financial management, a cornerstone of financial sustainability, and a balance sheet that is more resilient. In summary, the council will maintain a total of 6 funds, including 5 reserves funds. These are the General Fund, the Financial Sustainability Strategy Reserve, the Risk Reserve, the Departmental Reserves, the Innovation Fund, and the Process Improvement Fund. The first 4 of these funds can be viewed as funds to provide for the normal running of the council, or to cope with the potential risks inherent in running the council over the life of the medium-term financial strategy. These funds need to be protected in order to assure the resilience of the council. The General Fund is the statutory fund into which all the receipts of the council are required to be paid in, and out of which all liabilities of the council are to be met. It is in effect the council's current account. A balance will be maintained to help cushion the impact of uneven cash flows and avoid unnecessary temporary borrowing. Its value will not be lower than 3 million over the medium-term financial plan. The Financial Sustainability Strategy Reserve. This fund is there to smooth out budget gaps while transformational activity is undertaken. This fund exists to ensure that we are able to manage according to the medium-term financial plan. This fund holds an amount equivalent to 2.8 million in July 2023. The current financial strategy assumes these funds will be used over the next 4 years as transformational savings come on board. The Risk Reserve. This reserve will be used to mitigate some of the financial risk resulting from the uncertainty contained within the budget and the changing economic climate, such as from rising rates of inflation, risk associated with delivering a challenging savings programme, and any timing differences due to Section 31 grants, future tax losses, and the impact of the cost of living on income-generating budgets. It was calculated to have a value of 5.5 million in July 2023. Fourth, the departmental reserves. These are amounts set aside by departments in accordance with financial guidance and notionally held by each directorate to balance out their need to have different levels of funding from month to month due to fluctuating commitments and timing differences. The value of these reserves will fluctuate depending on activity, but were around 4.8 million in July 2023. The second set of two funds are strategic investment funds. To achieve financial sustainability, the council will need to invest in a range of innovative and transformational activities in order to reduce future costs of service delivery. As part of the 2022-23 outturn process, two funds were designated to fund such activity. The Innovation Fund, first of all, the balance on the Innovation Fund has been determined by assuming an approximate payback period of 1 year on the required investment. The transformational savings of 4 million identified in the current medium-term financial strategy have been used to determine the value of the reserve, which was at 4.5 million at July 2023. Use of the fund will be based on approval of outline business cases, which will provide an overview of the proposal, key milestones, and timing of delivery of the proposal, along with a profile of the investment and achievement of savings and/or efficiency gains. Savings from utilising this fund will directly support the savings required as part of the medium-term financial strategy. Sixth and last, the Process Improvement Fund. For the 2024 budget and beyond, the balance on the Process Improvement Fund will be maintained in the region of 1.5 million to 4 million. This fund is designed to be used by business cases that either pay back the original contribution over a longer period of time or result in significant service improvements or significantly reduced costs. Savings obtained from the use of the Process Improvement Fund will be reinvested back into the fund, thus creating an investment fund that is self-sustaining. The value of this fund at July 2023 was calculated at 4 million. Once the general fund and risk reserve targets are achieved, any additional funds through underspends should be placed in either the Innovation Fund or the Process Improvement Fund, unless circumstances require their alternative use. There will be no overlap between each fund. From this, it can be seen that the value of all the reserves held by the council at July 2023 is 24.7 million. This balance has been modelled to reduce to 8.6 million by the end of the medium-term financial strategy. In terms of management and governance regimes will be established as set out in the paper. I commend the reserve strategy and policy to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson, for that very comprehensive report. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Waller. Okay, members, open for debate. Councillor McRobb.
Thank you, Chair.
You can stand, please.
I apologise. I have a question that's been passed to me by Councillor Ross, who unfortunately is not able to be here this evening due to ill health. And it is a question specifically for Councillor Johnson. And if it's acceptable to the council, I'd prefer to read this to make sure that I convey the full meaning of Councillor Ramsey's question. I believe it's appropriate for open session, and it's not a matter that is exempt from public scrutiny. So please stop me if I'm mistaken in that belief. So, question to Councillor Johnson from Councillor Ramsey. I will start by saying that we are in complete agreement with the proposal to establish specific reserves. My question, that is Councillor Ross's question, is one of clarification and relates to Appendix A, Item 5.4, use of the general fund, where there is a list of headings of risk. And at bullet point 4, I assume it will take members a little time to find that part of the appendix, because it took me a little while to find that part of the appendix. Bullet point 4 of paragraph 5.4 suggests that reserves held by this council may be held by this council, in recognition of the risk of future government legislation. The question is, would Councillor Johnson agree with me that it would be reasonable for residents of Rutland to assume that the government would seek to ensure adequate financial provision to meet any increased financial burden on the council arising from legislation that the government itself enacts. That ends my question.
Thank you, councillor McRobb.
May I
Councillor Waller.
take that, please? Thank you. Thank you, councillor McRobb. Those of us who have been on this council, or indeed any council for a number of years, will be very aware that frequently we are in receipt of new initiatives from government, but not new funding to cover them. And I can see that Councillor Stevenson is smiling at me in recognition. Unfortunately, government seems to think that we have a magic money tree to cover a lot of these initiatives. And that magic money tree is known as our council taxpayers. Any reasonable person would assume that if government was asking us to do more, they would give us more. But sadly, that isn't the case. And because a lot of these requirements, when they come in, we do need a reserve to ensure that we can. It is what it is, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Waller. I'm afraid you've already spoken, councillor McRobb, on this item. Any other members? Councillor Powell and councillor Payne.
Thank you, councillor Johnson. As someone who's raised the subject of reserves, I think several times during my period as a councillor, I'm very pleased to see this paper. I think, and I'd like to congratulate especially the Section 151 officer for working this paper up based on the work previously done about really making absolutely clear what our reserves are, where they are and what we use them for. So I'd fully support, I fully support this. I think it's really clear. I did have one question, and I know there is a transition sort of period to get all this in place, is that council have previously agreed a reserve for the local plan. And I would like to know where that sits within this reserve strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Powell. Councillor Johnson.
My understanding is that the local plan costs are held separately. So they would form one of the 4 more statutory reserves funds. I'm not exactly sure which, but the local plan is held separately. Okay. I'm advised that they're held in departmental budgets.
If you'd like to clarify that via a written answer, councillor Johnson, to councillor Powell, then I think that will satisfy. Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Chair. I was pleased to see the reserve strategy align with the new kit for guidance published earlier this year, and that there is no direct financial impact on the council. I was also very pleased to understand that the realignment and rebadging of reserves supports the transformation and innovation that was kicked off in 2022 last year. Officers from the ground upward put much hard work into focusing their thoughts and ideas into initiatives to change the way the council works. It must be rewarding to them to see this hard work recognised and supported in concept by funding subject to approval that was outlined in the document. Thank you, councillor Johnson and the Section 151 officer for this paper, and I support this strategy.
Thank you, councillor Payne. Any other members? Sorry, Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Can I remain seated, please?
Yes, if you wish.
Thank you. It's just a short comment, actually, and it's just to thank Councillor Johnson and to thank Mrs. Nathan and the rest of the team. Everyone knows I'm not the money people. The money people have all spoken. I'm the people's people, and so reserves and that sort of thing was always kind of a little bit of a tangled mess in my head. This strategy makes it much, much clearer. And I'd really like to thank you for that, because even I can understand it. So that's brilliant. So I would like to thank you for the hard work, and please pass on my thanks to the team. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Harvey. Any other members? Okay, The motion is that council on recommendation of Cabinet A approves the reserve strategy and policy at Appendix A, which sets the future direction of travel and planned use of reserves. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
That is unanimous, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is carried. With regard to report number 115, stroke 2023, several of the appendices to this report contain exempt information as defined in para 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972. And for the benefit of new members, this means the information in these documents is commercially sensitive and not available to the public or in public session. A member should only refer to the contents of the public report and Appendix D. Now, I believe that council can debate this item in a public session, but should any member wish to discuss any of the contents of the exempt appendices, then a motion to exclude the press and public will first need to be moved, seconded and approved. This will move the meeting into a private session where the exempt documents can then be discussed. Councillor Wise, would you like to introduce the report, please?
Thank you. Being very careful about what I say. Our poor waste vehicles are a victim of recent times. Their life has been extended beyond reason, bless them. They are becoming unreliable. I think, and all of us have had an email at some time about a collection that's late, and it's usually because of breakdown. We desperately need new vehicles for April, May. I'm told we can expect them for May. Unfortunately, it is the majority of the fleet. We have to appreciate a life of a waste vehicle is averaged at 7 years. Some of ours are 14. Various options have been considered for financing these, leasing versus purchase, and then there are various routes to purchase, taking into account depreciation over their 7 years. Consideration of Appendix A and B would support the assertion that the best value for money can be achieved through the council financing the vehicles upfront. It is with some regret that I can't promise we're going to go green, given that another part of my portfolio is the environment and climate change. However, there are a large number of infrastructure changes that would need to happen to support that. So all I can say is that we will start investigating those infrastructure changes almost immediately so that we can progress into that direction before the end of the life of these vehicles.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Johnson. Okay, so now we move into debate, members. Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. I think there is a lot of information in this paper that in order to debate fully that I propose that we move into exempt session. Can I propose a motion that we move to exempt session in order that we can fully debate these papers?
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hemsley. All those in favour?
I believe that is unanimous, Chairman.
All right. We now move into exempt session and
Yes, Chairman.
okay, thank you. So the motion is that council on recommendation of Cabinet A authorises the strategic director of places in consultation with the portfolio holders with responsibility for waste and finance to agree to fund the purchase of vehicles to provide the fleet for the contract to be initially financed by the contractor so that orders may be placed without delay. B, authorises the strategic director of places in consultation with the portfolio holder with responsibility for waste to agree the fleet replacement programme with the contractor. C, approves the required capital contribution to the contractor for the purchase of vehicles up to 2.069 million as per the financial implications in Appendix B, paragraph 2. D, amends the Treasury Management Performance Indicators as per Appendix B, paragraph 3. E, authorises the Strategic Director of Resources in consultation with the portfolio holder with responsibility for finance to incorporate the financing of the capital contribution into the medium-term financial strategy, making best use of reserves and borrowing options to mitigate risks as outlined in paragraph 8 and Appendix B. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Chair.
Those against?
1 Chair.
Abstentions?
Chair. Motion is carried.
Thank you, members. The motion is carried. Members, all the questions that have been asked were valid questions, but we've had some very detailed questions on this item, which would have been better in advance to allow more comprehensive answers. They tend to stifle debate, these very complicated questions, and it's very difficult for the portfolio holder to answer questions on the hoof like that. We've had 2 adjournments this evening, and it's not really in the interests of residents, or does it make effective decision making? The papers were published in the council domain on the 7th of August. So we've had the papers for quite a considerable time. And I would ask members, please, to take this on board for future meetings. Right. Item 11, reports from committees of the council. We've got report number 123, 2023 this evening from the Constitution Commission. Councillor Waller, as chair of the commission, can you introduce the report, please?
Thank you very much. There are 2 proposed revisions to the Constitution. These have been discussed quite thoroughly within the Constitution Commission. The first is to amend the officer member protocol, which wasn't reviewed the last time we reviewed the Constitution, hence being done now. And you will recall, excuse me, at the last council meeting, we did, or I withdrew this item for further discussion. That further discussion amongst the Constitution Committee, which is cross-party, has taken place. Excuse me. And the second element is relating to the council's seal and sealing a contract. And it relates to changing the Constitution to reflect what happens now using the electronic seal, DocuSeal. I think that's all I need to say. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Waller, do we have a seconder? Councillor Johnson. Members open to debate. Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Chair. As a member of the Constitution Commission, we have discussed the protocol in great detail. It has been through rigorous analysis by us and suggestions and amendments based on the new proposal that was put forward. So I'm perfectly happy to support it. I feel that it's represents a bit of a change of the way we look at things, and actually sets down very clearly what how those relationships should work. Thank you.
Other members? In that case, we move to the vote. The motion is that council approves 1, the officer member protocol appendix A 2, the amendments to the Constitution as set out in para 3 of the report. All those in favour?
That is unanimous, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. The motion is carried. Item 12, reports from scrutiny.
None received, Chair.
Item 13, joint arrangements and external organisations. So members will have seen the circulated reports via the agenda supplement. I'll give members a chance to speak to their report and take each report as received and noted, unless other members have any questions. As Councillor Ross is not here and has given his apologies, I'll take his report on the Anglian Northern Regional Flood and Coastal Committee as received and noticed, unless there are any questions. Are there any questions on that report? Nope. Councillor Karen Payne, do you wish to speak to your report on the Hanson Cement Ketton Liaison Committee?
No, thank you, Chair. The report has been circulated, but I'm happy to take any questions if any members have any.
Any questions for Councillor Payne? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I'll take the report as received and noted unless there's any questions. All right, I've already said that, haven't I? 14, notices of motion.
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Item 15, any urgent business? I've not been made aware of any urgent business for consideration. The next meeting of the council is, of course, now the special meeting commencing shortly. So if we have a 5-minute comfort break and reconvene at 9:25 to allow members of the public in, then that's what we'll